Hey guys, it's Eddie and today I am back just after Christmas. I'm still wearing my Christmas jumper because we can't let Christmas end just yet. I've waited all year for it to roll around. But today I am back with another movie review for you all. Now today's movie I mentioned on my recent top 10 favourite movies of all time list, so I'm really excited to be doing it for you today. I recently rewatched it because, it's one of my favourites. By the way, I'm so sorry for the noise outside. Storm Barbara has hit the UK and it's so windy and there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm really sorry about that. But the movie that I will be reviewing for you today is Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. Now this is of course directed by Stanley Kubrick and it stars Peter Sellers, George C. Scott, Sterling Hayden and Slim Pickens. Now this is a film from 1964 and if you've seen pictures of it you'll probably think, wow, that looks very boring and political. Well, you'd be totally wrong, because despite the fact that Stanley Kubrick adapted the book from a sort of dramatic, very serious novel about the possibilities of the Cold War, he decided to turn it into a comedy. Now you might think, what the hell was he thinking? But actually I think this was a very clever decision and it paid off. So whatever preconceptions that you might have about this movie, I assure you, give it a try. You might just love it, because I had no idea what I was walking into when I decided to watch this film, but I was absolutely blown away by it and I've fallen totally in love with it, and I can't stop watching it now. So you might end up like me and be totally surprised. But without further ado, let's get straight to the reviewing. So I think this is just the epitome of a classic comedy film. It's sort of puts together really sort of black ideas about an all too real possibilities of the Cold War that were happening and going on at the time, with nuclear devices and the bomb, but they put them in such an uneasy, sort of hilarious light. Like literally everything that could possibly go wrong in this film goes wrong. And despite the fact that it's based around such a touchy subject like war, you still find yourself in absolute fits of giggles, because I think it taps into that sort of ridiculousness of politics, but despite the fact that it could have actually happened, and I think that was the whole point. But it was presented in such a wacky manner that, oh, it's fine, this would never ever happen. But yeah, I think Stanley Kubrick just wanted to tap into the fears as well as people's hilarity, and I think that's what provoked such a fantastically hilarious film. And I think it was, as I said, a great decision by Kubrick to go down the comedy route instead of making it a dramatic film, because it's just like, it's so brilliant. And this is made all the better by the cast that he involves in the film. And the first I will mention as standout is George C. Scott as General Turgidson. He is electric, goofy, energetic. He's just bubbling with energy, and when he delivers his lines, they're delivered with such sort of rapid gusto, and you just find yourself absolutely mesmerised when you're watching him on screen, not only because he's absolutely hilarious, but also because he's such a convincing actor despite being in the middle of a comedy film. And he plays this sort of American general that is strangely optimistic despite all of the stuff that's going down with the prospect of the nuclear doomsday device being triggered, and he's just still, so anti-communist and anti-Russian, and he always tries to get that in whenever he can in the movie, and he's just hilarious. And I think that George C. Scott presents himself as just such a sort of tough, stoic, oh, it doesn't matter, we're going to be fine, we're American kind of like character. And he's just brilliant, and his just sort of erratic energy of chewing gum, sort of leaning on the chair, watching the president, his eyes flashing between different people centered around the the round table of the war room, he's just brilliant, and you can't take your eyes off him. And yeah, he's a fantastic complement to this film. But the person that makes this film, obviously, because he plays 3 different parts throughout this movie, is Peter Sellers. Now, before I watched this film, I had never seen Peter Sellers in a role before, but oh my god, am I glad that I saw this, because he is such a fantastic actor. Confession, when I watched this movie, I didn't initially realise that the 3 parts that Peter Sellers plays, Mandrake, Muffley and Dr. Strangelove, were the same person. I didn't realise that they were all Peter Sellers. And either that just shows how great of an actor he is, or it just shows how incredibly stupid I am. Probably the latter. But anyway, he's just so masterful in those 3 roles. His characters are so well crafted, they're so individual and genius. And he's just an unrecognisable chameleon in these different 3 roles. He just slips into them so easily, and they're just perfectly withheld throughout the whole movie. You know, you've got President Muffley, who's, you know, very serious, very sort of upright, and he doesn't, you know, want anything bad to happen, and he doesn't want to be the greatest mass murderer in history since Hitler, and he's constantly doing everything he can to try and prevent this doomsday happening. And then you've got Mandrake, who is trapped, unfortunately, in the I think it's the Air Force base or an army base with Sterling Hayden, who is basically the sort of maddened, crazed officer who starts all of this. He's the one that causes all of the shit, if you might say. So poor sort of stiff upper lip British Mandrake is another character that he performs wonderfully. And then we have Dr. Strangelove, who is my personal favourite, the wheelchair-bound ex-Nazi nuclear weaponry advisor to the president. And the spin that Sellers puts on Strangelove, you know, with the black glove and, you know, his arm being sort of uncontrollable in comparison to the rest of his body, and sort of wanting to go into a Nazi salute, and him having to sort of suppress the urge, is absolutely hilarious. And it's hysterical. It's hysterical to watch. And I think the film without Sellers would have been just nothing, really. He totally makes the movie. And it's just fascinating to watch him, you know, just move effortlessly between these 3 roles that he plays so well. And then of course we've got Slim Pickens, who plays the pilot, the pilot in the plane that drops the bomb. Sorry, that was a little bit of a spoiler, but, you know, it is called How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. So, yeah, and he's just fantastic with his, you know, Texan twang and his, you know, if anyone has seen the very famous shot of him sort of riding the bomb at the end, it's just hilarious. His character, Major Kong, is just so funny. So sort of patriotic and fighting for his cause and willing to die for America. And it's so ironic because he's doing all of it based on a miscommunication and a huge mistake. And it's just the irony of the situation and the actual just random thing that's going on here. I love this film. I could go on all day about it. I just think that Stanley Kubrick is a fantastic director. The scenes shot in the war room in particular are my favourite, where they're all sat around this huge round table with the boards of the maps with each plane, you know, being shown up, flashing on the screen. It's a fantastically beautiful set. And it's completely unforgettable, stunning. It just resonates within your mind, and it's just one of those sort of movie settings that you can never really forget. But I love this film. I think everything about it is perfect. The actors are fantastic. Sellers is phenomenal in his roles, and yeah, honestly, I could just go on about this film all day, but I won't. I'll save you that. Anyway, I will advise all of you to go and watch this movie immediately. You might not think it's as funny as I do. You might not enjoy it as much as I do, but that's totally fine. Everyone's opinions are different, so it doesn't really matter. Nevertheless, I really hope you've enjoyed this review. I also hope for all those who are celebrating that you had a fantastic Christmas, and yeah, I can't wait to be bringing you more movie reviews in the coming year. Bye guys.